This is our time. The main news at this hour. I'm Andriy Melnyk in the studio. Hello? 2 people were killed as a result of attacks by the Russian Federation on the Sumy region. Over the past day, Russian forces carried out at least 30 strikes on the region. 20 settlements came under fire. This was reported by local authorities. The highest number of explosions was recorded in the Sumy and Shaska districts. Private homes, civilian infrastructure, and vehicles were damaged. Residents of the city of Sumy were left without water and partially without electricity. Also, due to overnight Russian attacks, there is no power supply. In the Mykolaiv and Kherson regions, the Dnipropetrovsk region also came under Russian attack last night. As a result of an FPV drone strike in the Kryvyi Rih district, a man was killed. In Nikopol, 2 people were injured. There, infrastructure, businesses, power lines, and vehicles were damaged. A private house also caught fire. The fire's already been extinguished. More than 30 settlements also came under fire in the Kherson region. The enemy used drones, aerial bombs, and artillery against the region. Russian forces targeted critical and social infrastructure. 9 people were injured in the region. Another resident was wounded in Kherson itself. There, as a result of the morning's shelling in the city's ship district, a supermarket, apartment buildings, and a car were damaged. A vessel from the shadow fleet of the Russian Federation has been seized in the Odesa port. This was reported by the Security Service of Ukraine. The ship was illegally transporting Ukrainian agricultural products from temporarily occupied Crimea. Its owner is under sanctions by the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine. To circumvent the restrictions, he regularly changed the vessel's name and the names of beneficiaries from third countries. This was reported by the Security Service of Ukraine. The territory and sovereignty of Ukraine are not for sale. This was stated at a meeting of the United Nations Security Council by Ukraine's permanent representative to the UN, Andriy Melnyk. Russia wants Ukraine to surrender and lay down its arms. That will not happen, the ambassador emphasized. He also said that due to the growing imports of Russian oil, gas, and coal, a number of countries are effectively supporting dictator Putin's war.
We call on the European Union, the United States of America, and all other peace-loving countries to impose large-scale secondary sanctions against all those states that continue to support the Russian war machine. The broader the coalition of countries that refuse to subsidize Russian aggression by importing its energy resources, the sooner this war will end.
The year 2025 has become one of the deadliest for the people of Ukraine. The number of civilian casualties from January to November was 24% higher compared to the same period last year. The numbers keep rising as the Russian Terrorist Federation ramps up its air attacks on Ukraine. This was stated by Kyoka Goda, a representative of the United Nations responsible for Europe, Central Asia, and the Americas. In turn, the ambassador of Slovenia to Spain and director of the International Chamber of Commerce for Human Security Issues, Tomas Lavrenchik, emphasized the danger posed today by drone attacks.
In the past, most victims were injured by stepping on landmines buried in the ground. Today in Ukraine, the strikes are coming from above. The massive and systematic use of drones carrying explosives has effectively moved the minefield into the air. In addition to minefields on the ground, we are now faced with what can only be described as minefields in the sky. In the sky, indiscriminately killing and maiming civilians.
The European Union is very close to resolving the issue of financing Ukraine using frozen Russian assets. This was announced by the president of the European Council, Antonio Costa. According to him, the EU Leaders Summit may continue until a final decision is made on the reparations loan. The meeting, let me remind you, is scheduled for December 18th through 19th. Antonio Costa emphasized this. If necessary, negotiations on Russian assets will continue for several days until the leaders of the EU countries reach an agreement. Poland may transfer MiG-29 aircraft to Ukraine in exchange for access to Ukrainian drone and missile technologies. This was stated by the Polish General Staff of the Armed Forces. According to the military, discussions are ongoing, but a final decision has not yet been made. The agency added that the transfer of aircraft would be an element of Allied policy to support Ukraine and ensure the security of NATO's eastern flank. Russia has legalized the mass seizure of housing in the occupied territories. Temporarily vacant apartments and houses will be widely declared ownerless and transferred to new owners. This was reported by the Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine. They emphasized that decisions regarding the fate of other people's property are essentially being made in offices in Moscow. The expropriation will be in effect until 2030. The United States of America may leave NATO in the near future. The corresponding bill was introduced in Congress by Republican Representative Thomas Massie. According to him, NATO was created to counter the Soviet Union. Massie emphasized that since then, U.S. participation has cost taxpayers trillions of dollars and still carries the risk of dragging Washington into wars abroad.
NATO is a relic of the Cold War. The United States should leave NATO and use the money to protect our own country, not socialist nations. Today, I introduced Bill 6508 to end our membership in NATO. Thomas Massie, U.S. Representative from Kentucky, on the social network X.
The risks have increased many times over. Danish military intelligence is recording a record number of hybrid attacks from the Russian Federation in recent years. The agency emphasized that Russia's war against Ukraine is a key security factor in Europe. The report also drew attention to the growing uncertainty about the role of the United States as a guarantor of European stability. According to Danish analysts, this could push Moscow to intensify hybrid attacks against alliance countries. North Korea launched several missiles toward the sea west of the Korean peninsula. This was announced by South Korea's Ministry of Defense. The country's intelligence services, together with the United States, are conducting a detailed analysis of the characteristics of the launch projectiles. Let me remind you, on November 7th, North Korea launched a ballistic missile off its eastern coast. In this way, Pyongyang expressed its dissatisfaction with new Washington sanctions against North Korean individuals involved in cyber money laundering schemes. Japan scrambled fighter jets to monitor Russian and Chinese aircraft that set out on a patrol over the Pacific Ocean. This was reported by Japan's Ministry of Defense. 2 Russian T-95 bombers, which are capable of carrying nuclear weapons, they took off from the coast of the Sea of Japan and met up with 2 Chinese aircraft to carry out a long-range joint flight. The Ministry of Defense also reported that Japan detected activity by Russian air forces in the Sea of Japan, which included 1 A-50 early warning aircraft and 2 Su-30 fighter jets.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.